Good morning. My name is Damon K. Jones, D-A-M-O-N-K-J-O-N-E-S, and I'm the Northeast Region President of the National Black Police Association. We're here today to support our brothers and sisters in Nassau County because we understand the fight. Racial inequity in law enforcement is rampant throughout New York State. We have to take a stand here with our brothers in Nassau County and move throughout New York State. And this is a warning to all elected officials. Do right. Do right by law enforcement. Reflect the law enforcement that reflects the community. It is a shame that in some law enforcement departments, you have hardly none law enforcement executives making policy and procedure decisions. This is outrageous. That's why police brutality cases are rampant among cities throughout New York State. That's why young black cops are now being shot at, or killed by their white counterparts, because the policies and procedures among African Americans in law enforcement and African Americans in the community are not reflective, because we do not see African Americans in decision-making positions. Thank you very much.
Cut this out.
Okay. I'm Anthony Miranda. I'm the Executive Chairman of the National Latino Officers Association. You spell my last name is M-I-R-A-N-D-A. The National Latino Officers Association is here in support of what we call continuing litigation. The fact is that there is already a federal decree that mandates a response of equity, and the county has failed to comply with that order. This is a request and a legal matter to enforce on an existing standing order. That's what we're fighting for right now. We don't need new litigation. We need to get back in front of the federal judge and say, the mandates that they put in place to ensure that there'll be equity and fair treatment have been ignored. And in a federal court decree, that cannot be left alone. The person that the agency hired in response to the original court decree, they have disciplined him and now admonished him when he in fact has found that the agency continues to discriminate against minority officers. And it's, why are we still standing here when the person they hired is saying that he is in total agreement with the officers that discrimination still exists and that they have failed to comply with the federal court order?
I'm Charles Phillips, chairperson of the Grand Council of Guardians. It's a sad thing to stand here on Black History Month, particularly on dealing with issues like this. We're looking at an item that happened over 12 years ago that should have been dealt with and satisfied. They all talked about it and they all had a lot to say here standing behind me. This is something that should be dealt with. The good part about this now, it is going back into court. And the only thing I ask to add to this decree is that the county be monetary responsible in dealing with this. I think it would reflect the county more to respond much more, knowing that every day that goes by them denying this decree, that the county has to pay some type of monetary penalty. Because my officers, members of my organization, members of the Sheriff County Guardians are being penalized every day the same way. So since they are being penalized the same way, I truly believe the county should be penalized the same way in the idea of monetary. Because it's a need to realize.
At this point in time, we're asking from the media if there's any questions. Again, myself, the President of the Nassau County Sheriff Guardians, there's still some things that need to get done. We're still acting and demanding at the same time that these things be enforced quickly. We still have superior officers who don't even come to training when it's mandated by the federal consent order that our supervisors.
Any questions? You talked about some required training that people aren't going to. Can you talk about some other things that were decreed that aren't happening? Such was decreed that's not happening.
I mean, a good example in some of the issues in dealing with that, I just want to touch on it quickly. I mean, some of the issues in dealing with that, we have several members who were literally disciplined. Particularly, they would go out sick and not get paid during that period of time. In the idea of disciplinary procedures, you can get a white officer versus a black officer, and the white officer would get suspended and literally brought up on charges when the white officer get basically slapped on the wrist and tell them to go back to work. It's been several incidents where we had white officers literally attack black officers in the parking lot, in the jails, and other issues like that, and nothing has been done. There has been several times where a person was literally ran off the road, attacked, and everything else with guns and stuff was basically about to be pulled out. And nothing happened. These were white officers that were doing it to black officers because this is the pattern that has been going on over the numbers of years. I mean, these are the things we are talking about that needs to stop.
Could you just list a couple of specifics that are in this decree, though, that have not been met, that have not been met?
In the decree specifically, there are no black officers in positions of, as part of the hierarchy. There have been no promotions to the high positions of rank by minority officers, and we will not stand for that any longer. In addition to that, the supervisors are not forced to attend cultural diversity training, and we will see to it that they get it. And anyone that dares retaliate against them will answer to the federal court, and I will pledge that to this county. In addition to that, the sheriff was supposed to appoint, through a civil service position, an affirmative action specialist, and the sheriff was required to send him for training at the New York City or New York State training unit. He refused. We now have an affirmative action specialist through a civil service title who has 3 master's degrees and a doctorate, and was ready, willing, and able, and attempted to engage in investigating racial bias incidents, and the sheriff and county attorney cut him down. He was suspended for 30 days and more because he tried to do his job. How outrageous is that? And now that officer, affirmative action officer, is not permitted to do EEO investigations, is not permitted to investigate complaints made by the officers I represent of racial bias. How outrageous is that? So please, go to the sheriff right now. Speak to the Deputy County Attorney, Elizabeth Loconsolo. Ask her how is it possible that she is engaging in bias investigations when she is defending the county when these investigations take on the position of a lawsuit. How is that possible? That they are negating the duties and responsibility of the affirmative action specialist?
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, this concludes our press conference. We thank you.
Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.